Hello friends, this is Shelley from Koala Knits and Knacks, and I am so glad you're joining me. In this tutorial, we are going to make a beautiful, beautiful reversible blanket. Now I am using my model 155, Studio Model 155 bulky flatbed knitting machine, and I'm using Yarnspirations Caron anniversary cakes in the color Oyster. You're going to need to have 2 of these humongous cakes. I call them humongous because they really are. There is like 941 meters or 1,029 yards in one cake, and you're going to need to get 2 of them. And friends, this blanket I am saying is reversible because look at the braid on the back of this blanket. By the way we do the braided join at the front of the blanket, it makes a beautiful detailing on the back of the blanket as well. So I say that this is a reversible couch blanket. Now couch blanket because it's the perfect size to throw over you when you're laying on the couch and watching a movie or you just want to cozy up under a nice size blanket if you're a little bit chilly. So this is just going to be one of your favorite go-to blankets, as it will be mine, I'm sure. You're going to want to make one for yourself and one for gifts for Christmas, because you know what? Using our flatbed knitting machines, we can make these up in no time flat. So once you have your yarn and your knitting machine, let's get started on this beautiful reversible couch blanket. I'm so glad you're joining me. All right, friends, we are going to get started, but I wanted to show you. Oh, this Caron cake is so beautiful. Look how humongous this thing is. Well, you know what? This is how much I bought 2 of these. This is how much I have left of the first one. That's a lot, because let me tell you, we are going to make 4 panels for this blanket. If you're going to do the same size as me, I'm going to have some trouble when I get to this piece. I don't know why that's fallen out of there, but anyways, we're going to make 4 of the same panels, and I've made 3 already and have this much left. I thought I was going to barely have enough with 2 cakes. I didn't know how to measure it out in my head. So anyways, I have 2 of them, and I'm so glad because I'm going to have some left over for other projects, and that's going to be wonderful. But this is how much is left after 3 of the 4 panels are done. So I'm going to use it and see how far we get on our 4th panel. All right, and I'm going to teach you how to do them all on this 4th panel here. So all right, let's just I'm going to move my camera down and focus it on the carriage, and let's set up our carriage. All right, so I'm going to bring my carriage into the camera and put the handle down so you can see. We have a very, very basic setup. We're going to leave these levers on the side at the 0. The triangle is in the back, and that's for patterning when we use our patterning card, and we don't have anything like that for this particular project. So you can leave them on 0. You're going to leave your Russell levers in the Roman numeral number 2. You're going to leave your cam lever here on stockinette, right here. And I'm going to have my tension on 10. By the way, up in the mast, I have my tension at 2. And that seems to be working well with this yarn. You would think that it would be a little bit higher, but 2 is what is working good. All right, so Russell levers are at 2. And stockinette stitch, we can leave the brushes up because we don't need them. And that's it for the carriage. I'm going to pull that out of the way just for now. And we're going to go ahead and set up our needles. Now, what I've chosen to do, which works better with this particular yarn, is to knit every other needle for the entire project. I did a practice run doing every needle, which it does work. You have to just knit really, really quite slowly. But you can do the 6 bulky with every needle. But I liked the look of it better with every other needle. So for this project, I'm choosing to do 33 needles. So I'm going to pull out 17 needles on the right side of 0. All right, so just like this, every other needle. And I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I have 1 too many. Pull that back. And I'm going to do 16 on the left side of 0, and that will make 33. So go ahead and count your needles to make sure. I have every other needle pulled out, and I have 33 needles in total. Now a little hack for you. Now, you know, some people will take a credit card and cut it at the same angle to get it, to get one of these little things that helps us open our needles. I just took this little kitchen scraper because I bought them. I don't know, I don't know why I have so many, but I think I have 5 or 6 of these little things in my kitchen drawer. I bought them in a package at IKEA, I think, so that's why I have so many. And all I did, and it's a hard plastic, all I did was cut that little groove out of there, and so then I have a thing that opens my latches, but it's also firm enough that I can use it as a needle pusher too. So I love this little thing. I've got a couple of these cut out, and I would encourage you to find these things because it works great. They're food scrapers for your counter. But anyways, so we have 33 needles pulled out. I have all my latches open. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to put it into the carriage. So I'm going to feed it into, let me get around the camera here. I'm going to feed it into the carriage here just to hold it in place as I cast onto my needles. And we're going to take that yarn, I'm going to just put a clip on the end. Now we put it into our carriage because it's just easier to have control of the yarn tail when you're doing your cast on. We're going to put a slip knot in that yarn and pop that knot over the first needle. Now to do a double E-wrap cast on, I'm going to explain it to you as though the needle that we're going to be casting onto is needle 1 and the next one is needle 2. Then this becomes needle 1 and needle 2, needle 1 and needle 2, just like that, and it'll make it easier for you to learn. All right, so we're going to come underneath needle 2, come up on the right, go over top and into the nook of needle 1, just like that. Don't put any tension on it. Let it just be nice and a loose tension there. And then you're going to pull it back and cast on. This now becomes needle 1. We're going to go underneath needle 1 and 2, come up on the right side of needle 2, over the top of both of them and into the nook of needle 1. Pull back. Keep these little loops, you know, a little bit looser. So pull back into B position on your bed here. And then underneath 1 and 2, over the top, into the needle of number 1. And we're going to repeat that all the way down. So under 1 and 2, up on the right side of 2, over top of both of them, into that needle and pull back. And that is how we are going to do our E-wrap, double E-wrap cast on all along our bed. And if your yarn gets a little bit tight, put some slack on it. All right, and come around and work those needles. Sometimes with a thick yarn like this, when you're pushing this back, this little nook, this little latch here gets caught in the fibers of the loop that's behind it. And so sometimes if that happens, just lift it up and close it with your fingers and then pull it through. It has happened a few times to me as I've made this blanket. So I thought I would mention it just because it's such a thick yarn. And again, I have my tension on my carriage at 10. And I forgot to mention it at the beginning of the video, I think, but I'm going to change that. After we knit one row, I'm going to change it to tension 9. Okay, I just want it on the loosest tension for the first row. And we're going to continue this cast on all the way down to the end. And then this last one, you just wrap it around and you cast on just like that. All right, so drop that yarn underneath your carriage. And we are ready to knit. I'm going to pull out all of my needles, which is what I do for the first row. Sometimes I even do it for more than the first row. But for this particular project, we're going to pull them out just like that, all the way down the bed. You can use your handy dandy scraper or your tool. Whatever it is that you want to use, or just use your fingers and pull those out, making sure that you don't pull any of the empty needles that are in between the working needles. There we go, and that's going to help us knit the first row. Again, we have our tension at 10, and I'm going to knit across. I'm going to now quickly, so that I don't forget, move my tension dial to 9, and we're going to take our weights. I love these weights. I'd like to know what this EM stands for. I was gifted all of these machines from a wonderful person who is a part of my channel community. She was given them. I have three different machines and all the ribbers that go with them and different attachments. And she was gifted them to me because she didn't want them. So I have cleaned them up, changed the needles and sponge bars, and just given them TLC. And now I am just enjoying them so much as I'm learning. I've joined a knit club and I'm learning so much. I just am loving it. But I think that this is probably the initials of the original owner. So it's special to me. They have EM on all of them. But anyways, when I move put my weights on, I always pull out the first two needles. Generally, I pull out the first one, but with this pattern, I'm doing both. And I neglected to set my row counter, so I'm going to set that to 1 because I knit 1 row. It's on 1, just like that. And I am going to, for the second row, pull all of these needles out one more time. This will be the last time I do that. I will always pull out the end needles, though, whenever I move my weights up. It's just a habit that I do. Generally, for regular, worsted weight yarn, I will only pull out the end needles, but for this one, I'm doing both, just because I want to make sure that I have a beautiful edge. So we're going to knit back, just like that, and then again. Look how this just slides. I can push it with 2 fingers because I've cleaned it so well. And change the needles, and I'm loving this machine. And after every 20 rows or so, sorry that I can't get the whole needle bed into the camera, but it's just impossible. After every 20 rows, I move up my weights. And we get there, 14. And then I'll give you a few more tips. And 2 more. I will move up my weights just like that, making sure you get that end stitch, that end needle on both ends. Move up your middle ones and center them in the stitches that are left. Pull out your end needle or 2 on both sides. And now you're ready to knit another 20 rows. And friends, you are going to knit 240 rows. And you're going to keep going, giving the same speed. So I try to maintain the same speed as I knit. I don't do a bunch of fast rows and a bunch of slow rows. I could probably knit a lot faster than this, but I'm finding with this thick yarn that I really want to be kind to my machine. Number 1, first and foremost, I want to be kind to my needles, but I just find that the tension works up so beautifully when I take my time. So I am trying to keep an even tension and an even speed. Well, the tension that the carriage is doing, that's on 9, but 38, 39, 40. And I could probably go further, but I don't want to. I want to stop every 20 rows, move out the last 2, because it's worth it for me to be consistent, take that time, and to pay attention to those details. And I just think you just get a nicer piece. So I'm going to go till I have 240 rows. Enjoy the process, friends. It doesn't take long and it's fun. As you watch your piece of row, you take pride in it. Oh, I'm loving this yarn. I'll see you at row 240, or actually I'll see you when my small little cake runs out. We'll see how far I got. All right, so I got 129 rows. This is what's left, but I'm not going to work through that because I'm taking a look at my new cake. And it starts with just a little bit of this brown, and then it goes right into the dark gray. All right, so I'm going to cut that off so that let me just hang that, so that it starts at the dark gray, because I just started the dark gray on this old ball. So I'm going to cut that. So I just cut the tail of my old one. You can't see it, it's on the other side, but I cut the tail. Let me just maybe move my camera here for those of you who need to see how I'm going to add the new one. I cut the tail of the gray. It just started on the end there. And so I cut that. I'm going to take this new one because it's starting pretty much on gray. And I'm going to feed that into my yarn feeder. I'm going to put a clip on the end. I'm going to pull out these two needles. I'm going to put a clip on, let me grab another clip here. I'm going to put a clip on the end of this tail as well that I cut off. So now I'm ready to go. I'm going to move my weights up. Trying to get that in the right place and to keep my head out of the camera. There we go. So I removed, I moved up my weights all along the bed there, all 4 weights, pulled out the 2 needles on either end, and I'm going to just keep going. Holding this little clip here till it catches, and there we go. I'm going to keep knitting, following the same thing every 20 rows, moving up my weights, and I'm going to go until I have 240 rows. So that is not bad. Out of one large cake, I got 3 panels of 240. Oops. So make sure if you're using a new cake that you loosen the center, because this one's really tight, and then it'll change the look of my stitches because it's tighter. But anyways, I got 3 panels of 240 and 1 of 129 of my 4 panels. So that out of one anniversary cake. So that's really fantastic. I'll see you at row 240. All right, friends, we have finished 240 rows, and I have removed my weights so there's not so much pulling down on it as I do my cast off. And we're going to do a cast off. Now there's several cast offs that you can do, and you can choose your favorite, but the one that I'm going to do is transferring the second needle over to the first, moving them back in, and then wrapping. So we're going to do that. I'm going to refer to the needle that's always on the right as needle 1, and the needle that's on the left that we're working as needle 2. All right, so I'm going to use my single transfer tool. We're going to go into stitch 2, needle 2, and we're going to remove it. We're going to take that loop and we're going to put it over onto needle 1, just like that. Sometimes I have to flip those latches over. They get stuck. The end of that latch gets stuck in the loops because it's so wide here. So I just close it with my fingers, but we're going to take that one off, and then we're going to move it back over to needle 2, just like that. All right, so it's behind the latch. I'm going to take my yarn tail, flip it into that needle, and I'm finding that I'm having to help these little latches sometimes because this yarn is so thick, and it's when I help it, it's preventing it from getting caught on these back loops, and then I can get a nice stitch. And you're going to pull it through. There we go. So we have bound off 1 needle. So now we're going to count that as 1, and this is 2. We're going to take needle 2. We're going to put that loop onto our transfer tool. We're going to move it over to needle 1. You might not have to use your fingers to do that, but it's just assuring me, like I said, that I'm not going to get any snags. I'm going to put both loops from needle 1 back onto needle 2. And then we're going to finish it off. Yarn over, wrap your yarn with your tail, close that little latch so that it's in there, and pull it through both loops. Just like that. This now becomes needle 1. This is 2. We're going to take 2, and I can see that one didn't knit for some reason. So you can see that there's 2 loops on there. I'm going to show you how to fix that. There's 2 loops on there. This one didn't go through. Again, it's because the yarn is thick, sometimes that happens. And I can count on only one hand how many times that's happened since I started this project. It doesn't happen very often. But when you have that, that just means this one didn't catch. So I'm going to pick this one up. I'm going to put it into that nook of that needle, just like that. And we're going to knit that one. that latch is going to go down, and we're going to knit this one through that loop. Now it's ready to remove. Very easy to fix. And if you have several rows, like I have a needle on here, needle 22. As soon as this project is this piece is off, I have to change my one needle because it kept bunching up, and so I know that the latch is not working right on there. And so you have to take you have to go down to where underneath all the bars and find this loop, and then you start hooking on the bars from the lowest one all the way up and doing what I just did until you have your row complete. And it's quite easy to do, but if you can change a needle and prevent that, then that's what you should do, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to try this here without helping the latch. See, the latch will lift up and go over here till it closes and come through. Sometimes, oh, and I had forgotten to transfer this one over because I was talking, but doesn't matter actually which one you work it, which one you work it on, whether you work it on the first needle or the second needle. But I try to keep it consistent. So I can now go to the second one, take that off, and you see how that's snagged? That's because I didn't help it. And I'm going to go over and I'm going to place it on this first one. Let's take this one out of work. Place it on the first one. Flip up that latch so I can get underneath, move it over. Watch me for a couple because you might be a little bit confused at this point because of all the little things that have been happening here. Close that latch, pull it through. Okay, this now becomes needle 1. This is 2. I'm going to take needle 2, put that loop on my transfer tool. I'm going to take it over to needle 1. We're going to transfer it. I'm going to flip up that loop or that needle latch. I'm going to take both of those loops off, transfer it back over to needle 2, and then I'm going to yarn over into that look at that needle, and we're going to bind off just like that. All right, so 2 onto 1. Yep, see, it got snagged. 1 back onto 2 and bind off. 2 onto 1, 1 back onto 2, and bind off. 2 onto 1, 1 back onto 2, and bind off. See how when I help it, it just goes so much easier with this particular yarn. 2 onto 1, 1 back onto 2, and bind off. You're going to do that all the way down. Oops, see that one snagged because I didn't help it. You're going to do that all the way down your bed, and I will meet you when you get to the end. I'm at the end, and I have 2 needles that are still holding loops, so I'm going to take that second one, the last one on my needle bed, put it over. No need transferring it over because, well, it's obvious. And then we're going to bind off this one. And then I'm going to just pull this off, cut off a tail, and put that through. And there we go. We have a beautiful, beautiful edge. So what I want you to do is I want you to grab a crochet hook. I use a 5mm crochet hook for this project. Anything bigger will make it a little bit harder. So you can use 4, 4.5, or 5. Those are perfect sizes. You're gonna grab yourself a couple stitch markers. 1 is enough, but 2 is helpful. So grab 1 or 2 stitch markers, and we're gonna get started on this beautiful, on the braid part. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to just grab the one that I already put 2 pieces together, and here it is. I'll show you. See, that's not the end with the stitch marker, and this is why the stitch marker helps. Or is it? Let's see, where's my stitch marker? Oh, there it is. See, there's my stitch marker. Because when we add, every time we add a panel, we want to start on the same end and work a way down. So I always mark that with a stitch marker so I know when I add my next panel, which I added one here already, I'm going to start at this end. And the reason being is because when you do the braided join, these little lines here fall in a certain direction. And so you want them to be falling in the same direction right across your whole piece, unless you want to alternate and on when you do it going down, because you see these lines are showing like they're going down, and then you start the next one going the other way and then alternate, whatever you like. But just so you know that there is a patterning to this as well. And so I started at this end, which is my cast off end. Doesn't matter if you start at your cast on end, turn it around and start on that end, whatever it is, whichever end you decide to start on, just keep it consistent for the rest of your project. So I started on the cast off end, and so I marked stitch marker there. I'm going to take my next piece and find the cast off end, which is this one. And I placed a stitch marker there already, just so that I'm prepared. And what we're going to do for the braided join is we're going to work into the center of our stitch. So when you're looking at your end piece here, you can see that the point of your stitch, your stitch looks like a V, and the point of your stitch is on the very end of your work there. You're going to rotate that half a row so that the wide part of your stitch right there, the wide part of your V is going to the left and the point down here is at the right. That's the row that I use to do the braided join, because I find that it's easier to get into. Now if you look here, you're going to go into the center of that stitch, and this is the center bar that we're going to be picking up. All right, and so then this is the next one. On the next time that we're on this side, we miss this one and we go into this very next one. Then we miss one and we pick up the next one. And that's how you do the braided join. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to find this same thing on this side. So that first row there, the point of the V goes to, that's my edge stitch. Point of the V goes to the left. So I'm just giving that just a half a row turn. And then I'm going to go up into this very first stitch right there. The wide part of the V is going down. And I'm going to go into the center and I'm going to pick up that bar. Then I'm going to go to the very first stitch over here. Here's the wide part of the stitch, it's going that way. Here's my first stitch. I'm going to go in, I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to bring it through that loop that was on my hook. All right, then I'm going to, here's the next bar right here. So basically you're going into this next stitch, but here's how I always how I learned to count it. I see that I'm coming out of this one, so I count 1, 2, and I pick up this one here and I work it. I see that I am coming out of this one right here. That's the bar I chose last time. So 1, 2, and I'm going to pick up that next bar and I'm going to work it. When you get a little ways down, it's easier, and there's lots of weight on this, so I don't want it to fall off the end of my table. But let's see here if I can give you a little bit better of a shot. So I'm just going to smooth this out a little bit with my fingers underneath, and I can see that row. Here's where I came out. So 1, I'm going to miss this next bar, and 2, pick up that one. And 1, 2, always making sure that I'm staying on the same row, and I know that I am if I'm counting down from where I worked last. So here's where I worked last. I'm not going to pick up this one, I'm going to pick up this next one. And here is where it's very important that you have the same row count for all of your pieces. Now, one thing that I neglected to tell you is that I stretch my pieces whenever I take them off, as soon as I take them off the machine. And I automatically did that, and I actually forgot to tell you, so sorry about that. You take your pieces when they come off the machine and you stretch them widthwise and lengthwise all the way down, and that just softens them up, lines up your rows, and just makes it the way it should be. And then you're going to attach them, and sometimes you'll put a little bit more stretch on one side, on one panel than the other one, and you'll line them up beside each other, and you'll say, oh, one's way longer than the other one. If you have, and that's because of your stretching process, if you have made sure that you did the same amount of rows on every panel, and you started on the same stitch up here and work your way down, you're going to, it's going to all come together and it'll be perfect, perfectly joined. All right, so don't worry about that. There's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Nice thing about this braided join, not only does it look beautiful, you don't have to fight with a long piece of yarn like you would if you were to do the invisible join. You can do the invisible join if you like. You can look for that on my channel if you go to go to my blanket playlist and you'll see some blankets there where I've done the invisible join or the mattress stitch. And I might even have a video on it in my techniques playlist. And you can do that too if you like, and you would follow the same row, and then you need a long piece of yarn, and then then what that does is it pulls it together and you don't see a seam. It's like this is all one piece. There's no decorative seam here, it's just all plain. But I love the look of the braided join here. I just think it's absolutely beautiful. Again, this is where I last worked, so I'm going to count 1, 2. Pick up that next one. 1, 2. Pick up that next one. And once you get an eye for it, you don't have to count. You just go in and you pick them up and you go all the way down. And you're going to get this to the bottom. Oops, that might have been, yeah, that was right. You're going to get this worked up all the way to the bottom, and then I'll meet you back and give you instructions from there. All right? So have fun, friends. Enjoy the process. You're making a beautiful, beautiful piece. That's what it's looking like so far. And here's the other one. So my lines are falling in the same direction because I started on the same end. Oh my goodness, this is so gorgeous. All right, have fun. I'll see you when you get to the end. All right, so how did that go? Look how beautiful. Like, it's just, these colors are so gorgeous. I am at the end. I'm hoping it went well for you. I am at the end, and I am going to just get underneath that last one there. Pull that loop. 1, 2. Get in there and find that loop. Sometimes it's hard, and if you can't find it, then just leave it and you can use this to sew it closed. But I'm going to get in there, and then once I have that last loop through, I'm going to yarn over on the tail that was left from doing the edge of my blanket, and now we have that closed off. From there, you're going to take your metal wool needle or your favorite darning needle. This one is the smallest one in a pack of 3, and I'm going to put that tail on there. I'll link these in the description box below because they're my favorite needles, metal wool needles. And then we're going to go across to this. It's coming off of this panel. We're going to go across and we're going to pick up that last stitch, that end stitch there. And we're going to go through. Then we're going to come back onto this other panel, pull through, and then I go back one more time so I'm at the back of my work. I'm going to tie off in a knot. 1, 2, and then I'm going to just hide it down this seam. So I'm going to go into that, these little side loops here. I'm going to go 1, and then into this next one, and the next one. Oh, I missed one, but that's okay. Next one. Then I'm going to come up the side on the other side. This is just how I do it. You can hide your tails however you like. And so I went down and up, and now I'm going to go down one more time. Just a few stitches, so I know it's not going to come undone. Then I'm going to take this tail and I'm going to just hide it underneath and pull through. You don't want to make it too bulky. But there you go, you cut it off and you have your end finished. Now on the other side, the other end, bring this big beautiful thing on. You can tell I added a couple more couple more panels. On the other side, oh, I was gonna leave that for you and I didn't. So let's see, did I leave one end? I didn't, but anyways, there is a tail coming off one of your ends here, and I just did the same thing. I just went at the top stitch and the top, and then through again. Anyways, always ending up on this wrong side. I tie off a knot and I hit it the same way I hit on the other side. And there you go. Now, this blanket is so gorgeous. I'm just gonna show you here. Oh, get that all the way. My working tape station here is quite small. I need it to be for my camera. And so, anyways, here is what it's looking like. You can see part, I mean, you can't obviously see the whole thing in this screenshot, but my braids are all going down like this. It's like a waterfall going down because I started at the same end and worked my way down. Now, 4 panels is plenty for this blanket, and then you do your border, or you can just do fringes, however you like. But if you do a fringe at the end, then you really never did anything with the side here, and it's going to stay curled. But it's big enough that it doesn't matter if it curls in. It just makes its own kind of curly edge, which is kind of nice too, actually. So don't be stressed about that. But because I have so much yarn, I added a 5th panel. So I made that, and I have to join it. So what I'm going to do is I need to make sure that I start on the same end. So I have my stitch marker there. And this was my cast off end, so I'm going to find my cast off end on this piece. By now you know. But I'm going to find my cast off edge on this piece, which is not that end, of course. And I have stretched this out widthwise and lengthwise. And we're going to line this up because there's my stitch marker. This is the end I start on. And I'm going to add my last piece to this beautiful blanket. And then once I have that on and all my ends from the top hidden on all my joins, then I'm going to show you how we're going to do a crochet border. But friends, I gotta just show you for fun the amount of yarn that's left. Now I rolled it into cakes, and I'm going to show you a little trick that I also do when I have yarn that follows a color patterning. I wound this up. I put 1 stitch marker on here because this is the first ball, okay? And it's a center pull. So then when I get finished, this one, I'll be ending on this last color here. I'm gonna find the one that has two stitch markers. You can mark it however you like. This is ball number 2, or cake number 2. And so then it just continues on from this outside color. And I'm not gonna have any, on my next project, I'm not gonna have a funny coloration because I strategically did my cakes. All right, so these are all center pull. So from there, this one ends on the ivory. I'm gonna find cake 3. I have 3 stitch markers on there. And center pull starts on the ivory. So where it ended here, it's starting here. And same goes with cake number 4. This is the order that I'm gonna use them in so that my coloration stays the same as it comes up off the cake. And this is how much yarn is left after 5 panels. That is a lot. Like, these cakes are worth every cent in my, especially if you get them on a coupon deal like I did. So we're going to use a good chunk of this for the crochet border. But then I'm sure you're going to have a little bit left over. We will soon find out. But when we get to that part, I'm going to start with the first cake because it has 1 stitch marker. That tells me that's the first one I start with. Again, I go to the next one, which has 2, 3, and 4. And that's how I organize my cakes. All right, so get your panels all sewn together and meet me back, and we will begin the crochet part of the project. Alrighty, friends. The sun is going down. It's getting a little dark in my room, but I'm hoping that you can still see this. I'm gonna get you started so that I can work on this tonight as I watch some programming. This is the edge, our cast on edge, and you can see it's quite loose and curly. I chose to do the double E-wrap cast on. Next time I think I'll do the single E-wrap cast on, and then it won't be quite so loose. And I think it might work a little bit better, but it doesn't matter. We're gonna do a crochet edge anyway. So we're gonna put that slip knot onto our hook. I'm going to go in a ways from the corner because I like to come around the corner and then do my join and start my next row away from the corner. So I'm going to come in just a little ways here, and I'm going to go into the stitch where the wide part of the V is at the top, and I'm going to go right into the center of that stitch, yarn over, and bring it through the work and through that loop that's on my hook. Then I'm going to take that tail and put it in the back, just like that. Now I'm going to tell you that I actually did the full border in single crochet, then I did my second row, and I started my third row and got halfway around. Spent a good chunk of my afternoon doing it, recording it and getting it done, and decided I just didn't like it. I didn't like that I went so close together with my stitches at the top here. I went into every row. So starting in this row here, then the next one I went into this row, and then this row and this row. I'm not going to do that. I am going to just eyeball it, and I'm going to just go where it seems natural. So I'm going to go into there. I'm going to carry my tail, so I'm going to have it over top there. I'm going to go around. Oops, I snagged the blue, and I'm going to do a single crochet because I think it's going to take some of the bulk out. So then I'm going to just now eyeball it, and that's where I think I should go. And I'm going to evenly space my single crochets out without doing it so precisely that, you know, I was just too precise before. I went into every row all the way across. I had the same amount of stitches in each panel, and I just think that it just wasn't right. So I think sometimes you have to just eyeball it and put your stitches evenly apart without being so precise. And in this particular project, because our edge is so loopy, that's what I'm going to do, and it's going to bring that loopiness in a little bit. Okay, so, and I think if you did the single E-wrap cast on, it would have the same result. Not quite as loopy as this, but it would still be loopy, and you would still have to do it this way. Because we're dealing with crochet against knitting, the gauge is different. So you have to kind of eyeball it. So that is what I'm doing. Carrying my tail there. Don't have to hide it later. And I'm putting a single crochet all across the top, evenly spaced. Now we'll get one panel done, maybe two, and I'll show you what the outcome is. And I think by pulling it together like this, we're going to have a nicer finish than when I did it the first time around. I'm very much a pay attention to detail kind of girl, and so I want things done evenly and consistently, but I think for this particular border, that's not realistic. It's already bringing that in and making it straighter, and once we add rows to it, it's going to be perfect. I think that was the way to go. So don't try to get it perfect. Just try to evenly space it, and by evenly spacing it, it will be perfect. And we're going to go all the way across. There's my braided join there. I'm going to go across into here, and I'm going to just hold. I have my finger held underneath there so I can kind of see what would be natural, and I'm going to go into there, but I'm not counting it to try to get an even stitch in every panel. I think you understand what I'm saying. And I think that this is going to be much, much better. Let's see here. There we go. It's still going to curl a bit until we get a little bit more height on our crochet edge, but it's going to be perfect. It's going to be great. So keep going until you get to the edge. See, normally I would have just done exactly a row. So this is the wide part, then I would have gone here, but I'm going to go over just a little bit more because that seems more natural. And I'm evenly spacing my single crochets. I'm stepping out of the box, but I think it'll be worth it because I didn't step out of the box and I had to rip out a whole afternoon's worth of work. That's okay, took it for the team. And you're not crocheting too tightly here either. When you go in, you want a nice even tension all along, but you're not pulling you're not pulling it in such a way that you're getting a tight tension. You're just going to let that flow. Just like so. Okay, I'm going to go till I get to the corner, and then I'll meet you back and show you how we do the corner. Enjoy the process, friends. And if you set it down a little bit and it looks like it's too tight in the space, or you need to make it even, you know, further apart, then go ahead and take it back. It's only for the first row, and you'll be glad you did. But I think it's working out perfect, much better than the first time. There we go. I made it to the one end. I hooked up some lighting. Hopefully there's no glare. There might be a glare on the tray there, but we'll see here. So I'm going to go to the corner. So I'm going to put another one in here. And one more. And then into the corner. Go right into that corner the best that you can. We're going to do a single crochet, a chain 2, and a single crochet. You can do a chain 1 if you prefer. They're harder to find when you're coming around and doing the next row. A chain 2 is easier to figure out where the actual chain is, but I think it also helps to give a better rounded edge there. So I do a chain 2, and now we are on the side panel, and here's what we're going to do. You can see that there are sort of stitches there, and then there's the end of the row, and there's a stitch in there. If you look on the side here, it's easier. So this is what I do. I go into the stitch there, and I do a single crochet. I liked how my sides were the first time I did it, so I'm going to continue that. Then there's that little space right there. You're going to miss it, and you're going to go into the next one. So essentially, it looks like you're going to every second stitch. There's a little hole, a little there. I'm going to miss it and go into the next one. And miss this one, go into the next one. So essentially it's every second stitch, but it makes a really nice edging. It's just nicely separated. And so here we go again. So I'm going to miss this one, go into this one. Miss this one, go into this one. You can see the stitches on the up at the top there. It didn't look as nice as these stitches do. There was, I don't know what the reason was, because of join or something, but you can see the stitches along the side here. Because I was showing you this, but if you turn it, you can actually see the stitches, the formation of the stitches, and go into every second one. It's the same thing as looking from the side here and skipping one of the little holes there. So turn it up like that and look at the stitches along the side there and go into every second one if that's easier for you. I tend to focus on these little holes here, and that's where I go every second one. But if it's harder for you to do it that way, just look at the stitches and you will get it. And do a single crochet in every second one, all the way to the next corner. Then when you get to that corner, you're going to put a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into that corner space. And then when you get to the other end here, so you're going to put a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into that corner space. And then you see that we have our edging here as well. This is our cast off edge. It's not quite as loose as our cast on edge, so it kind of works to go into every second stitch here. Sometimes, well, you know what, just eyeball it. I know this doesn't sound very professional, but you have to do that for this particular project because you're doing crochet on knitting. It's not as simple as just going into every stitch. I did it into every stitch along the bottom here, and I think it was too much, so I'm going to do every second stitch. Sometimes it might be every stitch. I can see that some of my stitches are tighter here on my cast off than others. So basically what you want to do is you want to just evenly space it out like we did for the top edge. And again, I apologize that it's not a more professional, but hey, I'm not a professional. But I do know how to crochet, and I know that when you're doing it on knitting, it's not as cut and dry because the gauge is different. So you have to, for this first row, you have to just make it look even. And then the next rows after that, we will be systematic, and it will be we'll be precise in where we put our stitches. But we just want to put them nice and evenly along the bottom here as well. And then you go up the other side the same way you're doing this side. All right. Once you get all the way around, making sure again that you put a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in every corner. Once you get all the way around, I will meet you back and we will do row 2 together and the subsequent rows after that. So have fun, friends, and I'll see you when you get to the end. All right, I have made it around. Just want to show you what the sides look like. If you're following me, you'll see it on yours too, but how pretty. Like, it just finishes it off and gives it a nice edge. And although if you just leave it, it's still going to curl a little bit, and that's okay if you don't want to do any more. It's still important to put your edging on because it finishes it off and gives it a nicer edge. But here's a couple of options for you. You can leave it like this and now add a fringe to both ends. You have a base to work from because you did your single crochet on both ends as well. And I'm going to show you how to finish that off in a second. So you can leave it like this and just let it naturally roll. It's wide enough that the roll is not going to take away from the blanket. And then add fringes on both ends, or you can continue on with me and we're going to do round 2. Now, I have not done this before, but I'm going to point you to a channel that you probably all are very familiar with at this point anyways, Creative TN. She is brilliant. Do you know, with my flatbed knitting, I probably have learned more from her than from anybody, and I really, really appreciate Creative TN, and she does an I-cord border on her blankets. Like, that's one of her tutorials. So look that up, go to her channel and look that up. And if you don't want to crochet, then you can do an I-cord border, and that would be very nice too. And do it along the long sides and then have a fringe on the end if you like, or do it right around the whole blanket. The options are there for you. And if you don't know how to crochet and you want to learn, go to my playlist and I'll teach you. It's not hard. So you can do it, friends. If I can figure out how to do a flatbed knitting machine, then you can learn how to crochet. I know you can. So I'll teach you. Challenge yourself. All right. So now that I've made it around and my corners are lovely, they're beautiful. This is my ends are beautiful. Everything is working out very, very nicely. I like that I spread it out the way I felt it should be rather than into every other row or every row, however I was doing it. But now what you're going to do, you see this bar right here? The stitch right beside it is the one we're going to go into. Just like that, put your hook in, yarn over, bring it through, and bring it through. That's a slip stitch to join. Now we are going to do row 2. I want you to chain up 2, and into that same space, right at the base of that stitch, you're going to do a double crochet. So yarn over, go into that stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. You have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, and go through 2. You're going to do that in every stitch around until you get to the corner. So yarn over, pull up a loop. Make sure you pull up that loop so that everything is an even height when your hook is straight across like that. Because sometimes you see people who have, you know, if you keep it tight like that and then you finish your double crochet, you have a not nice looking stitch. So make sure that when you draw it through, that you pull it up a little bit and you have your crochet hook. When it's straight across like that, all your stitches are even. You yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. And now that we've done our base stitch, our base row, which is the hardest part, we can now motor across and put a stitch into every one. We can do a double crochet into every stitch, just like this, and we don't have to try to even things out. Or now we're going to be precise. We're going to go into every stitch. So again, the hard work is done. Now it's just fun, all games, all play. So I'm going to double crochet in every stitch across until I get to the next corner, and then I'll show you what we do. All right, friends, take a look at this beautiful border. You are going to be amazed at how it makes your blanket sit, like the end sit. You would never know that that was curling, and we only did 1 row so far. We got more to go. And so that's what's looking so far. Wait till we add the next couple of rows. You can do as many rows as what I'm showing you. You stop at any point as you want. I'm going to keep going because I like a wider border on my blankets. So but anyways, it makes a huge difference. So I wanted to do the corner with you because it's very important. Let me do 1 double crochet here. It's very important when you finish your center, which is, here's where our chain 2 is. You're going to go in there. You're going to do a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet all into that space. But it's very easy to miss this next stitch, this one right here. Okay, so same thing. You got to pull this apart, and you can see that there is a bar right there. That's the center that you go into. So pull that work away so that you can get into that stitch. You don't want to miss it because it helps to complete your corner by tightening it up there. So then you just completely do the same thing. You continue to do the same thing into every stitch down the side. You put a double crochet. And you can already see how that's flattening our edge out. Beautiful. So if you don't know how to crochet, let me teach you because you need to know. All right. So I'm going to continue on down my merry way, putting a double crochet into every single crochet, making sure that when I get to the corner that I push this aside so that I can get into that stitch that's hidden, because this part will hide it a little bit, and it's often missed. So we don't want to be missing that. And then there you go. Look at that. It's working out beautifully. All right. I am going to grab a cup of coffee. I'm going to continue my merry way around, and then I'll likely stop for the night and see you back in the morning, which will just be a few seconds to you in camera, but that's just how it's going to work. All right, friends, take care. Good morning, friends. If you are on a relatively same time zone as me, I hope you had a good sleep. If not, then maybe you're on your way to bed now. I don't know what time it is for you, but it was a good night for me. I had a good sleep, which is great. But this is what my blanket looks like. I folded it like this through the night, and just smoothed these edges all out all along, and just laid it on a table, and actually had it so that this part was upside down and on top of it on the edge there, and it the weight of it just straightened it out, and this straightened out too. It just relaxed and is already falling into place nicely. You could just leave it like this, but of course I want to do more. So we're going to grab our edge here. I'm going to, this is a huge blanket, you guys. I'm going to measure it again at the end once the border's done, and have that in the final comments as to how big this is. But you know, I started out wanting to do 4 panels, and I'm telling you that 4 would be enough, but I'm glad I did the extra panel, but 4 is a nice size too, just so you know. All right, so I'm gonna get this blanket on the floor here. It's a lot of blanket. So we're going to finish off this row. I have what looks like 2 more double crochets to do. And then I'm going to slip stitch into the first stitch here. You can do it into the top of the chain too if you like, but I'm going to go right into that first stitch now because there's more strength in it. And you can see when you pull this apart, there's a bar underneath there. That's the first stitch. And I'm going to slip stitch to join. And we have completed our first round of double crochets. Okay, now for the second round, which would be row 3 because our first row was our single crochet row, we're going to chain up 2 just like that, and right around this post here, so you can see this first post here, these are our starting chains. We're going to do a front post double crochet. So yarn over, you're going to insert your hook into that stitch and behind, like into that space, and go behind that double crochet, just like that. Yarn over, drop a loop, bring it up so they're the same size, yarn over and complete your double crochet. That is a front post double crochet. In the next one, you're going to yarn over, you're going to go behind and through that space and come to the front and go over the front and bring it through. That's a back post double crochet. Again, yarn over, next one, and we're alternating. You're going to go into the space, you're going to go behind that stitch and out the other side. You're going to yarn over, bring that up so it's the right size, go through 2 and go through 2. That's the front post double crochet. Now the back post, yarn over, you're going to go come from behind and come into that space so that the hook faces you. Go over the top of that stitch and into the space beside, drop a loop, pull it through in the opposite direction, yarn over, go through 2 and go through 2. If you've never done front post, back post double crochet, it'll be a little tricky for you at first, but you're gonna get it because once you do all of these, it's a good practice for you, and you'll be able to whip through them just like this because you're using your index finger and your thumb on your other hand to help guide it, and you're going to be able to, oops, forgot to yarn over, and you're going to be able to do these with no problem, especially with thick yarn like this. It's easy to get at. So yarn over, let me do that, slow that down. Yarn over, I'm ready for my back post double crochet, yarn over. If you lift that up, you can just go straight across like this and bring that through and double crochet. And if you pull it back, you just go straight across and pull that through and finish your double crochet. Push it up a little bit if you have to, just till you get the idea of how the stitch works. And that's your front post. Push it back and go right across on top of the front there and through, and bring that yarn through and work your back post double crochet. It's going to make a really chunky border, which will look beautiful, beautiful with this blanket. So keep going till you get to the corner, and when you get to the corner, I'll instruct you on what to do there. All right. All right, so I'm getting close to my corner. So I did a front post here. Let me just do a back post. And you want to take note of what kind of post you do. Here's my corner on this one here before you go into the center, because whatever you do here, you're going to do here, and it'll just make your corner look nicer. So for me, I'm going to do a front post on this one, and the next one on my corner naturally comes to be lines up to be a back post. So I did a back post on this one, which means I'm going to do a back post on this one. But before I do that, I'm going to go into the center. I'm going to do a double crochet, chain 2, and double crochet. All right, so there we go. We've turned our corner, but because I did a back post there, I'm going to do it there. I'm not going to alternate here. I want my corners to be the same. So when you get to your next corner, if it's a front post there, then do a front post here and then alternate. And that's how I do it. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know, but it's how I do it and it's how I like it. So I'm going to go here. Oops. Here with a back post double crochet. I shouldn't say whether it's right or wrong. We all make little changes based on what our preferences are, and so there's no right or wrong. We're crafters, and we do it how we feel it looks best for our particular piece. So now let me just get around the corner here in a couple stitches, and then I'm going to show you what I've got. Pull up on that just so we don't lose it. And there we go. It turned out it's turning out absolutely beautifully. And the weight of this is now making this straight. So I told you to trust the process and to trust me, and it's going to be beautiful. Now, again, you can continue all the way around like this and leave it at that, or you can continue on and do another row. I'm going to do one more row for sure, maybe even 2 more rows, because I like a really thick border, and it's going to look like ribbing, really. Doing the front post and the back post, the front post and the back post all the way around, and it looks nice on the back side too. So again, we wanted to have a reversible kind of a blanket. That's what it's going to look like, and it's going to be very, very pretty. So I'm going to work my way all the way around. Let me just re-emphasize the corners here. When you get to this first post of the corner, if it comes to, this was a back post, then this one's going to be a back post. If this is a front post, then this is a front post. And then into the center, you do your double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and then you continue on down around until you get to the end. All right, so that's it. It's simple. I'm going to finish going all the way around, and when I get to the end here, I'll meet up with you and begin the next row. All right, friends, enjoy. All right, friends, I have made it around, and it is turning out so beautiful. I can't even speak. Here's our chain 2, so ignore that one, and this is our last double crochet that we're going to do. For me, it works out to be a back post. If it's a front post for you, that's fine. And if you have a front post by a front post, don't stress that either. That's not a big deal. Just like I'm not going to stress this chain 2. We could have started our front post, back post over the chain so that that was hidden, but this is how I like to do it. And then I don't think anybody even notices that, because then if I have the same, if I'm ending on the same stitch, they're right close to each other, and I find that this chain 2 separates them, and then it just looks like it's an even pattern. So that's how I choose to do it. So you're going to take that now, and you're going to slip stitch into the top of that double crochet. And now we're going to begin another row if you so desire. And to do that, we're going to chain up 2. You can see we've done a front post double crochet here, so we're going to do a front post double crochet over that front post double crochet. This next one is a back post. It's hiding back there. You're going to do a back post double crochet around that one. My blanket is so heavy. And here, the next one is a front post double crochet. So you got it. We're going to do a front post double crochet. So around the front post double crochets, you do a front post double crochet, and around the back post double crochets, you do a back post double crochet. And you continue on just like that until you get around. Now, when you get to the corner, what you're going to do for this particular corner, this one here is a back post. So I'm going to do a back post double crochet over that one. Then on the first leg of this, I'm going to do a front post double crochet. Into here, I'm going to do my double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. And because I did a front post double crochet on this one, I'm going to do a front post double crochet on that one. And then that takes me to the next one, which is automatically seen, it's my back post. And that's how you do your corners. All right, so here's where we added our double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. The one before it is a back post. So this first leg will be a front post, and this will be a front post. In the center, you're going to do your double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. And then when you get to the end, you're going to join with a slip stitch to join, and you're going to continue that if you want to go bigger. If you want to have a wider border, you just continue it. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to come back when I get to my first corner and show you what I do, just in case my verbal explanation wasn't enough. And if it was enough, have at her, and I'll see you when you're done. Okay? I got company coming for lunch, so I have to sadly put this down. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing them. That's true, but I want to continue this. All right, see you soon. All right, friends, I was going to show you the first corner, but my friends and I had lunch, and we played a couple of games, and then we sat on the couch and visited. And while we visited, of course, I had to pick up my crochet. So I got my last corner to show you. But one thing while I'm remembering too, when you are doing this, it's going to look a little bit concave here, like just slightly. You have to take it and you have to kind of stretch this apart just to get it nice and even and straight. So because it's just from bunching it up when you're crocheting and stuff. So give it a good little stretch, and it is perfect. Like, it's absolutely perfect. Like, look at it. And again, you've seen how I rolled my cakes strategically so that I could keep the color patterning going. And the color patterning, you probably wouldn't notice very easily. You'd be the only one to know if you didn't do that. But I think that it's working up in a nice, even manner on the edging here too. So I'm glad I did it. This is my third cake that I'm diving into out of the 4. All right, so I see that that is a back post. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna do a back post, double crochet, which brings me to my corner. And so my next one will be in this leg here, which is a front post. And then into that center, I'm gonna do a double crochet, chain 2, and double crochet, all into that same space. Oops. And because I did a front post on this leg, I'm gonna do a front post on that leg. And there we go. And that just makes it look so much nicer when these two are the same. On another corner, I have these as both back posts double crochet, but they're the same. So that's what makes it uniform and nice. So pay attention to that little detail. And so then from here, this is it. I just started this cake, so it's a little tight. I'm gonna continue on. And this one I can see is the back post, so that's what I'm gonna do. Back post and front post. And I'm almost done because I'm almost at the start. It's right there. So talk to me, how's your day going? What are you having for supper tonight? Put it in the comments below. Inspire us all. Let's move off the yarn trail for a second and share with us. What are you making for supper? I'm barbecuing my husband a steak. Well, I shouldn't say my husband, just my husband. I'll have a piece of it too, but I had a big lunch with my friends, so I'm not gonna probably eat quite as much, but I'm gonna barbecue a steak, and I'm gonna also chop up some butternut squash right away, and I'm gonna barbecue that as well. So we're gonna have a good supper. Now I have some coleslaw in the fridge that I can pull out. And my friend brought me some fresh tomatoes off of her, out of her garden, so it'll be a good supper. There we go. I came to the end. Here's where my chain 2s are. And again, I like to just leave those. I don't work my first front post crochet around them because I like them to divide the last 2 stitches in case they are the same, which in this case they are. There is a front post and a front post. And if they were really close, you'd notice, but with this in between, you don't notice. So I'm gonna go into the top of that stitch, not to the top of the chain 2. I like to go into the top of the first stitch. And I'm gonna slip stitch to join. I'm gonna chain 2, and I'm gonna do 1 more round. Maybe 2. I don't know, I kind of really like this border. So I'm just gonna do the same thing. First one was the front post, so I'm gonna stick to the front post. Second one is back post, and I'm gonna continue around like that. Let me show you another corner. This one here, oh, this one turned out to be a front post and a front post as well. And this one over here, let's see where this one is. Look at that, they all turned out to be front. It's just how it worked out. They're all front post, and oh, this one's not. This one is back post, and then the middle there. But they're beautiful. Worked out absolutely gorgeous. I'm loving this yarn. I cannot wait to see how the next color that I bought turns out. And yeah, there we go. Keep going. And when you're done, as many rounds as you want to do, you're going to slip stitch to join and tie off a knot and hide your ends, and your blanket will be done. I'm going to continue on for as long as I want to go, and then I'll measure it and I'll be back with you for my final thoughts. All right, friends, thanks for being with me. All right, friends, here is the finished blanket, and I couldn't be happier with how it turned out. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I took the pictures outside because I thought maybe you'd get a better idea of what the true color actually is of this yarn. Sometimes the colors don't show as well when I'm recording in my craft room downstairs. So this picture here looks the most true to the color that it is. And I laid this blanket out on the floor and measured it, and it is 63 inches long and 62 inches wide. Now I ended up doing 3 rows of the front post, back post double crochet border, and the border comes out to about a 2-inch, it's about 2 inches wide all the way around, and I think it's perfect, just absolutely perfect. So the braided join at the front here is just a beautiful little accent, and the other side, you can see that we have done, it's got that little braided edge that I called it well, we did it in the tutorial, and I think it looks beautiful too. So I am just gonna say that this is a reversible blanket. I think that it's beautiful on both sides, and so I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial. I hope that you've made yourself a blanket, and maybe you're gonna make some for some gifts, however you decide. I had just after I finished the border, I had the 4th cake left that I showed you in the pictures earlier. I had that 4th one left and a little bit of the 3rd, and so you're going to need to buy 2 of these if you're going to make the blanket exactly the same size that I did, and you'll have enough left over to make another little project. Maybe you'll want to make an earwormer or something. All right, so I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I am so thankful that you are part of my community. Please don't forget to give me a thumbs up and to subscribe if you haven't done so already. All right, take care, be blessed, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.